Hi and welcome. So let's look at the option right here, fill, and some of its subcommands. So fill is in the home tab, and if I just put the mouse right here, the screen tube tells me that I can continue a series or patterns into neighboring cells in any direction. So now if I click here, I have down, right, up, left, and I have some options here that are grayed out. So here I have series and justify and flash fill. So if I look here down, and there's a shortcut key called fill down. So what does down do? Well, first of all, if I go here, and let's say I type in Canada, and hit enter, and let's say I want all these values to be Canada. So all I have to do is just go here, and let's say up to this point here, and I can go into fill and click fill down or press Control and D, and it'll give me Canada. If these are, let's say, Mexico, I'm going to type in Mexico, and I'm going to just drag this down. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to just left click and drag, and I'm going to go here to fill and fill down again Mexico. And I can do this for any other range of values as well. Now here I have fill right, fill up, and fill down. So if I look at the fill up, I can essentially have the same effect but going upwards. So if I just type in USA here, and let me get my cross here, left click and go up, I can go into fill, and I can go here fill up, and that's what it does. So here I have right, and the right has a shortcut key, Control and R, and I have left. So what will right do? Well, right will just fill a row of values based on the initial input. So if I put here, let's say I type a word here, I'm going to type in let's say China. Now if I just click out of here, then click back in here until I get the white cross, left click and drag. Now if I go into fill, I can fill up the values with China up until the K column. So I'm going to click here right or press Control and R, and that's what happens. Now if I go to fill again and I look at series, it says fill series, and if I click it, I get this little dialog box appearing. So now I'm going to, let's click out of here. I'm going to click right here and press 1. And now I'm going to click out and then click back in until I get the white cross, and just press down like that and highlight it. I'm going to go into fill and go into series, and now I'm going to say I want to fill in the values here sequentially from 1, and I want, let's see, it's going to affect only this particular column, so I'm going to leave the column selected. I want a linear growth, and so I want a linear type here, and that means it's just going to sequentially fill in these values from the starting point of 1. And here the stop value, well, I'm going to say, let's say 1 to 7, and click OK. And that's what happens. It fills up from 1 to 7. Let me just undo that. Okay, so now I'm going to click 1 here, and I'm going to go here to fill and fill series. I'm going to click here. And now I have this dialog box that appears, so I want to fill this value with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm going to fill it based on a column. It's going to be a linear growth, so it's going to be sequential based on 1 increments. And I'm going to go from 1 to, let's say, 10. Press OK. And that's what I get. So let me just undo that. And I can also change the start number. Let's say I want to start from 10 here. I'm going to type in 10, click back in here, go into fill, go into series. I'm going to keep it at 1, and I'm going to stop at 20 and just make sure I'm in columns and click OK. And that's what I get here. So now I'm going to go in here, I'm going to type in 1, 3. And now I'm going to left click and highlight and go all the way down here. I'm going to go into fill, series, make sure I'm in columns, make sure I'm in trend. And I'm going to click trend, and trend is going to create a pattern based on the difference between 1 and 3. I'm going to click OK. And this is what I get. So it's going to add from every 2. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Let me just undo that. And I'm going to highlight this again and go into fill, series. And I'm going to click here growth. And I'm going to click trend. And this is what I get here. I get an exponential growth. So let me just undo that. Okay, so now here I have a date. Now I'm going to click here, left click and drag up to here. I'm going to go into fill, go into series. I'm going to make sure I have column selected. I'm going to make sure the date is selected, and I'm going to click day. And what it's going to do, it's going to increase the date from 1 day. So here I have the 2nd month, 5th day, 2023. So it's going to add 1 to 5 up until I reach this point right here. So if I click OK, as you can see, I have second month, 6th day, 7th day, 8th day, 9th day, and let me just move this over, and so on. So let me press Control Z to undo that. I'm going to go back in here into Fill, go into Series, and this time I'm going to pick the year, and now I'm going to click OK. As you can see, it increments the year. Okay, let's look at the justify function now. So here I have some words here, a text. I have I went to school with my friend. So I want to essentially put this all on one line, on the same line as I went to. Now you can do a merger, and justify is a type of merger, but it's a bit more functional. So here I'm going to just left click and highlight everything, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to click justify. Now, as you can see, nothing happened, and the reason why nothing happened is Excel cannot put this on the same cell as this because it needs more room. So I have to go here and left click and drag and move that over and approximate. I think that should do it. So now I'm going to left click and drag, go into fill, and go into justify, and that's what I get. So just remember that when you're working with justify, make sure that there's enough room in the cell to accommodate the values in the other cells. Okay, so now let's look at flash fill. If I go back into fill and look here, I have flash fill, and flash fill has a shortcut key, Control and E, and here it says automatically fills in values. So you enter a couple of examples you want as output and keep the active cell in the column you want to fill in. All right, so here I have first name and last name, and I want to put them all together in one cell. So I'm going to move this over. So now I'm going to type in Joe and just move over here and type in Smith. Now I'm going to just put the mouse right here till I get the cross, the white cross, and just left click and drag. I'm going to press Control and E. Okay, and Control and E is going to automatically look at this name right here and establish a pattern. And it's going to see that, okay, Joe goes with Smith, and it's going to apply that pattern to the other values here. Now just be careful, just make sure that there's no blank column separating this column here from the source column. All right, now here I have Mike, Rick, and I have these names here, and I want to attach an email. So I'm going to just type in Mike, and the email address is going to be, let's say, gmail.com. And that address is going to be the same for the others. So it's going to be gmail.com appended to all these values here. Now I'm going to click out here, then click back in here and left click and drag. I'm going to go into fill. I'm going to go into flash fill. And as you can see, flash fill, it appends the gmail.com to these values here. Okay, so there's quite a lot to do with flash fill, and you can just play around with it and you'll find a lot of uses for it. Okay, so that's it for this lesson here.